Oh, Diablo. I remember being 12 years old and going over to my friend's house and being introduced to this addicting series. Growing up with an older PC, I never got to experience modern PC gaming at the time, but playing Diablo 2, I was blown away. It wouldn't be until years later and hundreds of hours later that this was announced. So what is Diablo 3? Diablo 3 is a hack and slash ARPG game developed by Team 3 of Blizzard Entertainment. It was released in 2012 and has seen numerous updates over the years. Since this review is based on how it plays in 2023, I'm not going to be talking much about the history, such as the auction house.
So as you saw, we're going to be shutting down the Diablo auction houses.
Inferno difficulty, Error 37, etc. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about the couch co-op aspect of Diablo 3. Seeing that Diablo 3 is over 10 years old and that Diablo 4 is coming out in the near future, is it still worth playing in 2023? The story of Diablo 3 is similar to its predecessors, with controlling an unnamed hero in the dark fantasy world of Sanctuary, trying to save it from the forces of hell. Set 20 years after the end of Diablo 2, at Tristram Cathedral, which served as the backdrop for the original Diablo game, Deckard Cain and his ward Leah are looking over ancient documents pertaining to a terrifying prophecy. Suddenly, a falling star crashes into the side of the cathedral, creating a large crater that Deckard Cain falls into. The player-controlled Nephilim arrives at New Tristram after noticing the fallen star. Now, most people aren't playing the Diablo games because of how it looks graphically. It's all about the gameplay loop that Blizzard has perfected over the years, but let's talk a little about the visuals. I remember when the first came out, there was a lot of hate on the way that Diablo 3 looked. I tried to do a bit of research on the hate, but all I could really find was that it was too cartoony or that it looked like World of Warcraft. That was the whole argument I saw over and over, no further explanation. The game wasn't Diablo 2. When talking with my girlfriend Spark about this, she talked about things that I never noticed or paid attention to visually in Diablo 3. For example, when we're in New Tristram, we see a lot of the city is lit up with these warm colors. The area is designed to look and feel like a safe spot. But if we travel to Leoric's Manor, for instance, we see overgrown grass outside with eerie green lanterns, this pit of death with a red light coming from somewhere. Inside the manor, there are torn rugs with poor lighting, giving a much more sinister feeling than before when we were in New Tristram. I like the feeling of when you're attacking enemies and you can just see their body parts just exploding, going in different directions. An early sign of this is when you're in the spider caverns and their legs just kind of go all over the place. I like the voice acting for this game to tie in kind of with the visuals, and how there's 7 different characters with either being male or female. So there's 14 different voice actors for each character or each Nephilim in the game. But then there's even the supporting cast like Tyrael, Adria, Leah. All of them have plenty of voice acting. And even the smaller people who only have maybe 1 or 2 voice lines in the different safe spots in the world.
Kadala heard about us during her travels. She is here to help, in her own way.
Or rob us all blind.
Kadala wants to turn a prophet, just like her father Geed always did. Cain told me a great deal about him, and most of it wasn't good. But it is your decision whether or not to buy from her.
Well, I wouldn't, unless you're in the market for some overpriced garbage.
Hey lady, I got some new things. You should take a look. I may look small, but I'll hurt you if you try to steal from me.
It's really easy for a company to just have a bunch of text on the screen, but Blizzard here went the extra mile with getting voice acting for literally everybody. As mentioned earlier, Diablo 3 is a hack and slash and action RPG game which focuses on killing endless amounts of enemies while upgrading your player character with items, skills, and other benefits that makes them stronger. Starting off, the player is given the option to either complete the story of Diablo 3 or go right into adventure mode, which is different from what I remember playing over a decade ago. It used to be that you had to complete the story before joining adventure, and I still think that's a good idea to do so. The story is really just a long tutorial hand-holding experience, but that's a good thing. Enjoy learning the game on your own and playing with fun builds before inevitably searching online for the top tier builds to see how far you can push your character. Seasons are patches that are typically released with original content aligned with the endgame of Diablo 3. Only newly created characters can become seasonal, which means starting over with a clean slate. No gold, no items, no artisan levels, no paragon levels, all the way back to a level 1 adventurer. There's a whole leaderboard section divided into different groups to see how you compare to others playing, but the biggest thing for me is the season journey. A season journey is split into 9 chapters with different goals needing to be completed in order to finish that chapter. This leads to different rewards such as set items, which are items that give bonuses when a set number of them are used at the same time, and cosmetics such as portrait frames, pets, wings, etc. Seasons are a good way for the game to stay fresh by having people start from scratch and persuading people like me to try a different class that I wouldn't have normally. Speaking of classes, there are 7 classes to choose from in Diablo 3, which each having different playstyles to experience. Barbarians being the close combat melee specialist, they are the only class that can carry mighty belts and mighty weapons, and one of the 3 classes that have a plus 30% built-in damage reduction. Witch Doctors are an amalgamation of the Sorceress, Druid, and Necromancer from Diablo 2, summoning dead souls and creatures to fight for them. This makes them a good pet class, where you summon a bunch of things that fight for you, and then channel in the back, reposition, or whatever. Unique items for the Witch Doctors are mojos, ceremonial knives, and voodoo masks. The Wizard is more of a glass cannon type of class, which means very high damage, but weaker defense or lower health compared to the other classes. It is all about maintaining crowd control on enemies while staying at a safe distance. Some of their unique items are wands, swords, and wizard hats. Monks are more agile and mobile than its barbarian counterpart. Since monks are also a melee class, they are the second of the 3 classes that have the plus 30% built-in damage reduction bonus. They are related to the paladin and assassin from Diablo 2 by having holy abilities, dash, and fist weapons to name a few similarities. Unique to monks are daibos or staves, fist weapons, and spirit stones. The last of the original 5 is the Demon Hunter, which is a combination of the Amazon and Assassin from Diablo 2. They're the only class to use 2 different resources, Hatred for offensive skills and Discipline for evasion and tactics. They are high damage dealers with a lower tolerance for taking damage. Exclusive to them are quivers, hand crossbows, and cloaks. Getting into the expansion characters, the Crusader is characterized as a hybrid melee caster type with unique items to them being flails, 2-handed flails, and Crusader shields. The Crusader is based off the Paladin from Diablo 2 and is the 3rd and final class to receive the plus 30% built-in damage reduction bonus. The last available class in the game is the Necromancer, which is very similar to its Diablo 2 predecessor and closely related to the Witch Doctor. Being able to summon undead, golems, using bone and blood spells are some of the main skills used with the Necromancer. Scythes and phylacteries are items that can only be used by the Necromancer. There are also 2 joke classes that were released on several April Fool's Days, the Archivist and the Necruid. The Archivist having abilities such as Lord NATO and Shush. While the Necruid had abilities such as raising vegetables that buff you with vitamins. Going back to seasons, 28 just started on Friday, February 24th, and there are some new additions to the game. The biggest one being the Altar of Rites, which is located in New Tristram, the first hub area in Diablo 3. Interacting with the altar shows 26 seal icons and 3 legendary potion powers that can be unlocked. Once unlocked, these bonuses stay unlocked for all seasonal characters until the end of the season. And of course, with everything in life, I have seen people complain about the altar making the game too easy, or that the sacrifices, quote, don't make sense. Stop. Just stop. It's a new free game mechanic in a game that's over a decade old. Can we just appreciate it for what it is? Another new feature of Season 28 are primordial ashes as a crafting material from salvaging primal ancient legendaries. If you're new to Diablo 3, this sounds like gibberish to you. There are 3 classes of legendaries: your normal legendary, ancient legendary, and primal ancient legendary. Ancient legendaries have 30% higher variable values compared to normal legendaries. Primal ancient legendaries have the same effect as ancient legendaries, except that the values are set to the maximum. If you look at the strength numbers for all three rarities, you can see the difference. The normal legendary has a range, the ancient legendary has a higher range, and the primal ancient is automatically at the top of that range. Now what's new in Season 28 is that when salvaging primal ancient legendaries, you receive 55 primordial ashes. This resource is used in a new cube recipe called Curiosity of Lorath Nar. This recipe allows you to spend 100 primordial ashes to upgrade a non-crafted legendary or set piece into a primal. The stats are re-rolled from the original item, but this method does come with some restrictions. The character is restricted to only carrying one of these primals upgraded this way. Followers can't equip upgraded primals, and the upgrade won't roll a socket. Alright, so you picked your class and completed the story mode. Now what? Well, the story mode should have gotten you either past or close to level 70, which when that happens, the game introduces you to Paragon levels. Paragon was added to Diablo 3 after the game was released to create further endgame content for players who had reached level 60 at the time. It makes characters more powerful with 4 categories: core, offensive, defensive, and utility. These skills can be reset at any time outside of combat and don't have a cap. It's not uncommon for top players to reach a level of over 10,000 Paragon by the end of the season. Like the Altar of Rites, Paragon levels stay with all seasonal characters, so if you have a level 70, level 700 Paragon Monk, creating a level 1 Demon Hunter will also have them at level 700 Paragon. It's a good feature that allows people to get through the level 1 to 70 grind easier. There are also bounties, rifts, greater rifts, and challenge rifts. Typing all of this out, there's just so much to this game, but the main question is, how does the gameplay feel? And really, I think it's good. Going back to the original Diablo days, the formula is still there. Enter area, kill enemies, take loot, equip better gear, sell and salvage what you don't want. Right now I'm playing a monk with a Tempest Rush build, and it's just so satisfying to charge in a room while spinning a staff like a propeller blade and just destroying everything. Add in some skills and items that increase your speed, and it gets ridiculous.
The gods strike through me.
And there are plenty more builds. Looking at Maxroll's Season 28 solo tier list, there are over 50 viable builds that can be played spread across the classes. Just as a side note, just because a build is graded C or D tier doesn't mean that it can't be successful or good. I've heard and seen videos of people complaining about the Loot 2.0 system, but I just can't agree with it. Would you rather spend an hour hoping that you get a random legendary, or spend 5 minutes to get one? If you can get multiple legendaries in a short amount of time, you as a player aren't restricted to a certain build at higher difficulties. This ties in with the skill system or lack of skill tree that people don't like. In Diablo 2, if you make a mistake in your build or just build something that isn't viable in harder areas, you're screwed. I think you get 2 or 3 respecs in each difficulty. I don't remember since it's been a long time since I played Diablo 2, but it's much more player friendly to be able to try new builds on the go and not be locked into a specific one, or wasting a respec because you wanted to try something else. I don't know if the correct term is gatekeeping or being an elitist, but it's just a silly thing to punish someone for experimenting and not looking up a meta build. One of the many things I enjoy about Diablo 3 is that ARPGs can be intimidating, right? Look at something like Path of Exile's passive skill tree. As someone who's never played PoE, I look at over 1,300 different options and just get analysis paralysis. Whereas with Diablo 3, it's like, hey, give this skill a try. Oh, you don't like it? It's all good. Just pick a different one. So going into the dislikes for Diablo 3, the biggest dislike I have about the console version of Diablo 3 is no character migration. Oh man, especially after Diablo 2 Resurrected just came out and includes this feature, it just sucks. It would be so nice to enjoy couch co-op with my girlfriend, but then have the option to play solo on my PC if I wanted. My biggest dislike in actually playing the game has to be the waiting aspect. Since in couch co-op you're sharing the same screen, that means only one person at a time can equip new items, buy, sell, salvage items, equip new skills, combine socket remove gems, use cube recipes, adjust paragon levels, use the private stash, enchant and transmog items, use the altar, equip pets. When you get the idea. I was bored and annoyed waiting for just one person to make decisions. I can't imagine being with a group of 4 waiting for all of that. So have a plan, whether it's something on your phone, laptop, use the bathroom, empty the dishwasher, or whatever. This might take a while. Another dislike is the comically large amounts of damage that can occur. At first, hitting something in the millions and seeing that big capital M right next to a monster is a great feeling. I actually hit something for over 1 million damage. Holy shit. I remember growing up playing Final Fantasy VIII and being amazed at dealing 9,999 damage on an enemy, and now we are literally in the trillions. I saw a video of someone hitting over 23,000 trillion, which is 23 quadrillion. I had to look that up. I didn't even know that. Blizzard, can we just tone it down a little bit? But going back to the staff propeller build I was talking about, having the 6-piece set bonus for that build gives you a 20,000% damage boost. When numbers get this out of hand, it limits the item choices for specific builds. The simplification of gear stats in the game makes item equipment lose its flavor. What am I talking about? In the console version of Diablo 3, when going through your inventory, the items are compared to the item you have equipped. There are 1 to 3 green positive or red negative triangles that show up for 3 separate categories: damage, toughness, and healing. Instead of looking at the different stats for each weapon or armor piece, we now look at what color triangles and how many there are. Not the worst thing in the world, because it definitely helps with speeding up equipping items. Like I said, waiting for just one person to equip everything was brutal, but it just makes items lose their uniqueness. Lastly, in this section, I want to mention the PvP aspect or lack thereof in Diablo 3. I really don't remember, but I probably tried it back in 2013 and wasn't impressed. Personally, even if we are talking about the beloved Diablo 2, PvP has never really been a thing. Sure, people can create PvP servers, but what I remember for the most part was creating or joining a server with the intent of doing PvE, and someone just goes hostile on you. Lord help if you decided to play open BattleNet back in the day and someone went hostile on you. You'd be dead before they even appeared on your screen. But going back to Diablo 3 and the previous section about insane damage numbers, the problem with this is that it becomes a who attacks first fight. Kind of like License to Kill mode in GoldenEye 64, except, less fun. Alright, I'm getting into the story spoiler section, so if you're interested in the story aspect of Diablo 3 and want to experience it yourself, skip until here. So after the Nephilim comes to New Tristram, Leah, who just met this person less than 5 minutes ago, asks the Nephilim to help her find her uncle Deckard Cain in the cathedral. After saving Cain, who survives the initial drop in the Act 1 cinematic, and has been fighting off the undead somehow, tells the other two that the only way to reach the Fallen Star is by defeating the Skeleton King, originally King Leoric from the first game, who has been resurrected somehow by the Fallen Star, which is bringing back all these other undead. The Nephilim defeats the Skeleton King and finds out that the Fallen Star is actually a man who has lost most of his memories.
I am not your enemy. I think. Yes, I believe I have come with a warning.
The only thing the fallen stranger remembers is of a sword that shattered into 3 pieces as he fell. The group finds 2 of the 3 pieces and is lured away from Tristram by Magda.
Something isn't right here.
Damn, it's not here.
While you were on your hero's errand here, I captured all 3 sword pieces and your friends.
I should have known. I must get back to Cain's house.
It's your choice, Cain. Either use your Herodric arts to repair the sword, or your dear Leah dies a horrible death.
Meanwhile, back in New Tristram, Magda tries to convince Cain to repair the sword and attacks him with butterfly magic. Seeing this, Leah breaks the hold that the cultists have on her, so Magda changes her plan and takes the fallen stranger with her.
Your rage is overwhelming, girl. You win this round, but if the sword cannot be mine, I'll claim the one it's bound to. In the end, the blade shall be mine.
Cain, in his final moments, repairs the sword and realizes that it is a sword from an angel, and then he dies. He dies. Deckard Cain, one of the biggest characters in the Diablo franchise, is killed by a butterfly witch Maleficent lookalike. It's not a problem that he died, just that he dies to this brand new character who was basically created to kill him. But moving on, the crew goes on to fight and defeat the Butcher, who was resurrected by Magda and the Coven, before rescuing the stranger. With the sword returned to the stranger, he remembers that he is actually the Archangel Tyrael, who became mortal so that he could warn the people of Sanctuary about the Demon Lord's arrival.
I remember now. I was an archangel of the high heavens. I was the embodiment of justice. I am Tyrael.
This takes us to Act 2, where the group travels to Chaldeum to track down Magda. They are led into a trap where the Imperial Guard has been captured and deceiver demons loyal to Belial, the Lord of Lies, have taken over.
Here you are, delivered unto me as a sacrifice, a gift from Lord Belial.
Once the guards are freed and we see
More hidden footprints.
Magda is cornered, and she tells us that regardless if she dies or not, Belial's Imperial Guard has captured Leah. This is one of the common occurrences in where a villain just tells the player what their plan is and where to go next. Magda is killed, and the Nephilim returns to Chaldeum to rescue Leah from Belial's forces, who are disguised as Emperor Hakon's loyal guard. But they are defeated, and the heroes escape to the sewers. We find out that Leah was wandering in the sewers before being captured because her mother Adria, who was the witch from the original Diablo, which, cool fun fact, is alive and being held somewhere down there. We find Adria being questioned about the Black Soul Stone before she is rescued by the Nephilim. Back in safe hands, the group learns from Adria that there is a fourth superior soul stone to the ones that Tyrael had created to capture the prime evils. This one was made by Zoltan Kuhl, a Haradrim member who wanted to make a soul stone that could simultaneously capture and hold angels and demons. Tyrael believed that the black soul stone was lost with Kuhl's passing, but Adria was certain it still existed. She also knew that despite Kuhl being dead, they would have to make a deal with him in order to find the soul stone. The group finds Kuhl's head, and Leah uses her powers to contact his spirit. Kuhl offers to tell the group where the Soul Stone is in exchange for bringing his physical form back to life. The Nephilim was tempted by Kuhl to join forces since neither angels nor demons could be trusted, that the Nephilim's own allies would betray him, and that Kuhl was the only one who was honest with his intentions. After finding Kuhl's body, Leah uses the spell that Kuhl taught her to bring him back to life.
You are surrounded by deceit, young one. I am the least of your concerns. Concentrate, Leah. Soon now. Just a bit longer. Just a moment. Almost. Yes. My blood thunders within me. This fetid air fills my ravaged lungs. I am alive again.
She succeeds, and Kuhl honors his end of the bargain by taking the group to where the Black Soul Stone is. Reaching the Black Soul Stone, Kuhl is unnerved to learn that 5 Lords of Hell are already inside the stone. He warns the Nephilim again that his allies are not to be trusted and that the 2 of them could rule over all creation. The Nephilim refuses, and Kuhl is killed again. It would have been interesting if the game gave the player the decision on whether or not to join with Kuhl, but with the way he was portrayed in the game, I mean, he has to be evil and lying about what he said, right? With the Black Soul Stone in tow, the group finds Belial's forces attacking Chaldeum as they fight their way to the palace. They learn that Emperor Hakon is actually Belial in disguise, surprise, surprise, where he is then defeated, has his soul trapped within the Black Soul Stone.
I cast off these petty illusions. Behold, the true vision of the Lord of Hell!
Later, Leah receives a vision of Azmodan, the Lord of Sin and only remaining Lord of Hell, of him invading Sanctuary from the crater of Mount Ariat, which was caused by Tyrael in Diablo 2 after destroying the World Stone. Once again, one of the villains telling the good guys what their plan is. Going into Act 3, the group travels to Bastion Keep, only to find it under attack by Azmodan and his forces. Bastion's Keep was originally constructed by King Corsic of Westmarch in order to control the, quote, barbarian threat to the north, which is Mount Ariat. The Nephilim aids the defenders of Bastion Keep with some help from Azmodan, telling on them where he's going to attack next. Mind you, this is the greatest tactician ever, at least with the demons.
The Valrus manuscript lists Azmodan as the best battlefield commander of all demons, having defeated the angels many times in the eternal conflict across Pandemonium. and the prime evils in the demonic civil war. If the Lord of Sin ever assaults our realm, we truly have much to fear.
This brings the Nephilim to defeat Gom, the Lord of Gluttony, who literally shits himself when he dies. The Nephilim fights to the crater of Ariat, killing Asmodan's consort, the Maiden of Lust, before continuing on to kill Asmodan and trap his soul into the Soul Stone.
Nephilim fool, when the Soul Stone is embedded in my flesh, the seven shall be as one within me. I will be the sum of all hells, the prime evil.
We've done it! Quickly now, Leah! Trap Asmodan's essence within the Soul Stone! It's done!
I never dared dream. All evil lies trapped within that stone. Once it is destroyed, the eternal conflict will finally end.
Destroying the stone is no simple matter. There are rituals to consider. We must return to the keep and make our final preparations.
Returning back to the keep and following the trail of blood, we found out that...
Adria, when did you decide to betray us?
20 years ago, a great and terrible power drew me to Tristram. But Aiden, Leoric's eldest son, defeated that power and sought to contain it within his own flesh.
The Dark Wanderer.
It was Diablo I saw within him, and I pledged myself to his service.
This was a big twist for me. I knew that Adria wasn't winning any Mother of the Past 2 Decades awards for leaving Leah, but conceiving a child for the sole purpose of having a vessel for Diablo in the future? I just didn't see that coming. With how annoying Leah was the entire game, it makes me feel bad for her that this is how her story ends. Diablo in Leah's body is now the prime evil by having all of the souls from the Lords of Hell with him. He sends Adria away and creates a portal to the high heavens. Tyrael and the Nephilim follow Diablo into the portal. Starting off in Act 4, this has to be one of the greatest cutscenes I've ever seen, especially back in 2012 when it first came out. We see Diablo defeat Imperius and start to corrupt the high heavens. The Nephilim meets with some of the other angels and is tasked with closing the hell rifts that Diablo has opened. While completing this goal, Diablo, like Asmodan, like Magda, pops up frequently to taunt the Nephilim, telling them that their interference means nothing, blah blah blah. Upon arriving in the Crystal Colonnade, Imperius makes his entrance, angry from being defeated by Diablo earlier, and warning the Nephilim that they need to leave or they will die. Of course, Imperius is ignored, so Tyrael and the Nephilim continue their climb to the Crystal Arch, but are stopped by... Iswal? Wait, didn't he die in the last game? After he died in Diablo 2, his spirit was freed and it returned to the heavens. But I guess now that I think about it, even after killing him in the second game, he spent his final moments boasting about telling Diablo and the others about the Soul Stones and how everyone on Sanctuary is doomed.
Tyrael was a fool to have trusted me. You see, it was I who told Diablo and his brothers about the Soul Stones and how to corrupt them. It was I who helped the Prime Evils mastermind their own exile to your world. The plan we set in motion so long ago cannot be stopped by any mortal agency. Hell itself is poised to spill forth into your world like a tidal wave of blood and nightmares. You and all your kind are doomed.
So whatever, dude, just die again. Reaching the pinnacle of heaven, Tyrael and the Nephilim are stopped by Imperius, who wants to fight until...
No! Diablo has reached the arch!
No. Diablo has begun extinguishing the Crystal Arch. That's why the angels have fallen. If its light should go out forever, We must defeat Diablo before that happens.
So of course it is up to the Nephilim again to save Sanctuary from Diablo. The fight has 3 phases, with the first being in the Crystal Arch until Diablo takes enough damage to where he transports the Nephilim to the Realm of Terror, where the Shadow of Diablo and a shadow clone of the Nephilim character that was chosen fight. I like the idea of fighting a clone. It brings back memories and Ocarina of Time in the Water Temple when you fight Dark Link. I don't know, I just like small things like that. After escaping the Realm of Terror, Phase 3 continues back in the Crystal Arch, where Diablo has the good old red lightning hose from Diablo 2. After defeating Diablo, he falls from the Crystal Arch, with his physical body disintegrating. We see the Black Soul Stone still in one piece. Tyrael decides to rejoin the Council, this time as a mortal and as the Aspect of Wisdom. What did ever happen to the previous Aspect of Wisdom? Finally, onto Act 5, the final act that was released as an expansion for Diablo 3 nearly 2 years after its release. Tyrael and the remaining Horadrim attempt to hide the Black Soul Stone somewhere where it will never be found, deep inside the tomb of Raxes, the first king of Westmarch. King Raxes was the father of King Corsic, mentioned earlier, who ordered the construction of Bastion's Keep. The former Archangel of Wisdom, Malthael, shows up and starts taking out the last of the Horadrim. Once again, the cinematic here from Blizzard is just amazing. Tyrael sends Lorath to find the Nephilim and tries to delay Malthael. I like the idea of Tyrael's sword Eldruin not having any effect on Malthael, seeing that Malthael's actions are considered to be just. Malthael, now called the Angel of Death, takes the Black Soul Stone, and we transition to Lorath finding the Nephilim outside Westmarch City. They fight their way back to Tyrael, who explains that Malthael is trying to end the eternal conflict, and since Nephilim descend from angels and demons, well, humanity is out of luck. The Nephilim tracks down Urzael, the Harbinger of Death and co-leader of the Reapers. When Malthael initially went missing, Urzael, his most loyal servant, went out looking for him and came across many humans during the search.
They murder and cheat one another while allowing their brothers to starve. If their true power is ever released, we are all doomed. They have a choice between good and evil, and they overwhelmingly choose evil. I grew disgusted by humanity during my time on Sanctuary. When at last I found Malthael, I was not surprised to learn that he felt the same way. We will cleanse creation of the scourge that is humankind, and when we are finished, the tragic mistake of Anarius will be gone.
I think this was the first boss fight that I actually had to dodge their abilities. Up until now, I would just stand right in front of bosses and chop away at their health bar, but mostly his flamethrower ability in the second phase of the fight was just messing me up. It was a welcome change to fighting bosses in this game. After defeating the Harbinger of Death, a mystic named Miriam mentions that Adria is in Westmarch looking for the Black Soul Stone to resurrect Diablo again. The Nephilim encounters Adria, who learns that Malthael is at Pandemonium. Adria then used magic on herself to be thrown into a pit of blood, emerging as a blood demon for the Nephilim to fight. Okay. During the fight, before she dies, Adria mentions of a vision of the Nephilim freeing Diablo from his prison. Arriving at the Pandemonium Gate, Imperius leads the Nephilim into the realm of Pandemonium and instructs them on using the ancient battering ram to breach the gates. This was a cool little section where the background is moving while fighting demons in this limited area. Tyrael tells the Nephilim that Malthael plans on using the Black Soul Stone to consume all the demonic essence, effectively leading to the extinction of humanity. At the start of the second phase of the fight, Malthael shatters the Black Soul Stone and uses the power of the 7 evils to fight the Nephilim.
You are imbued with the power of death. But that is not the only weapon I possess.
Malthael is defeated, which frees the 7 evils that were contained within the Black Stone, fulfilling Adria's prophecy. The story ends with Tyrael wondering if the Nephilim will be the savior of Sanctuary or become their doom. So in the end, Is Diablo 3 still worth playing in 2023, over a decade past its release date? I think so. I purchased the game back in February, where there was a deal on PlayStation for the Primeval Collection, which included the Diablo 3 Eternal Collection, which includes the DLC, and Diablo 2 Resurrected for under $20. That is insane value, whether you are new to the franchise or already own D2 Resurrected and D3 on PC. With Diablo 4 coming out, Diablo 3 will most likely hit another sale soon. Whereas the story may leave more to be desired, the gameplay loop is fun and addicting by trying to get further in the greater rifts, trying to complete challenges and conquest, getting better gear for your character. It is a great game to just turn your brain off and focus on other things while listening to music, podcasts, or watching videos on a separate monitor or screen. Just be aware that the main part of the game doesn't start until being level 70 and playing in adventure mode. If you're interested in learning more about Diablo's lore, there are a lot of books to choose from. There's the Sin Trilogy, Legacy of Blood, Tales from the Horadric Library, and Book of Adria, to name a few. In November of this year, Blizzard is releasing the Horadric Vault Complete Collection, which has the Book of Cain, Tyrael, Adria, and Lorath, which is something I'm actually looking forward to. But anyway, thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, give it a thumbs down. Have you played Diablo 3, and what do you like or dislike about it? Let me know in the comments, and remember to stay patient and trust your journey.